TOA community, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Robert Linkle with TrainingTheOlderAdult.com. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you enjoy this content. We're going to dive into an oldie but goodie. This is from 2002. Strength Training for Older Adults, Growing Stronger. This is a old, like 109-page manual. The reason I want to review this and go through it is, and we're not going to do all 109 pages. I only picked like 5, okay? So don't panic, number one. Number two, this is not a new recording studio. I'm out visiting my sister and my brother-in-law. This is my brother-in-law's recording studio. He's a superstar, by the way. Anybody needs any online hosting, he's a superstar. He hosts all kinds of events online. He's a DJ. He's a superstar. So if you ever need somebody, hook me up. I will hook you up with the best in the business. His name is Renee. His name's Renee. We call him the Nene. Kids love him. Uncle Nene. He's badass. And he's actually upstairs hanging with the kids right now while I do this video. So let's dive into this. Okay. This one, it's 109 pages. It's a spiraled notebook that really kind of dives deep into the world of older adult training. Now, why do I go back to something 20 years ago? Well, first, if you look at this research article that was done in 2018, if I stand corrected, I'm going to show you, or if I not stand corrected, if I say to you 2018, this is a long-term strength and balance training for preventing the decline in muscular strength and mobility in older adults, okay? I'm going to show you a new article from 2022 that gives some very good understanding of what this first article does as we go through. So basically it's a recheck or an updated version of it, but this goes all the way back to 2002 and then even previous research studies showing that the basics work really well. That's my point, okay? And I want to show you multiple different studies that really suggest the same thing. So in this one, basically they worked with 182 different individuals, 130 females, 52 different men, average age 80 years old, okay? They had a way of assessing their timed up and go, which is a sit down, stand up position. You walk out 10 feet around a cone and come back and they sit down and they time that. And then they had kind of a judgment based on it of how efficient and stable and, mobile it looked. And they gave everybody a score and then they trained for a while and they just trained some basic exercises. I think they did some selectorized machines and a couple of free weight exercises. If I remember the details in here, it doesn't go into it too much on this one, but they were doing strength training only one time a week, full body circuit basically that they went through. And after their 8 to 12 weeks, I think it was 12 weeks, I have a bunch of different studies, so forgive me for not remembering exactly how long this one was. I think this one was 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, everyone showed significant improvements in their timed up and go, but also their balance, their coordination, their stability, everything kind of improved across the board. Without training for improved balance and stability, it was simply a strength training program. So this goes back almost every time we talk about anything like this. The emphasis is always on the idea that strength training is the base foundation, the root, the center, the linchpin that really gets like all foundational goals are built off of whatever it is you're pursuing. I want to be a better fisherman, a better hiker. I want to get rid of my elbow pain, my back pain. I want to look better. I want to perform better. I want to feel better. Whatever it is, if you're stronger, you have a much greater opportunity to achieve those things and or live a longer and healthier life. Okay, and we talk about the 250% increase in all-cause mortality if you are weak versus being strong. And what do we use as the gauge for strength? Being able to pick up 18 pounds off the ground, 8 kilos. If you can't pick up 18 pounds off the ground, you are listed as weak, and you have a 250% increase all-cause mortality in your life, okay? So strength training, very key component to this. Let's look at what people were suggesting back in 2002 for you to do to be a strong individual. Number one, go out and get at least a 5-minute walk in for your warm-up, okay? This chapter in here kind of goes into a little bit of detail on start with a 5-minute walk, use it as a warm-up, and then eventually start to build that up into a 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 to 35, 40 hour-long walk that you're going to do a couple of times a week. But always start pre-weight workout with a little 5-minute walk just to get your body up and ready to rock and roll. There were no mentions of rucking or loaded walking, but the correlation between the improvements made on the body with added resistance and then the combo of chapter 1 and the suggestion of walking This can very much so be drawn together, though there's not a specific research article for this book in itself. There have been plenty since showing increases in bone density, overall strength, cardiovascular health, cognition, and everything under the sun, from sleeping better, feeling better, looking better, improved coordination, improved cognitive engagement and social engagement, reduced in anxiety, stress across the board. Putting on a weight vest or a backpack and going out for your daily walk is a great way to address many different health issues, okay? All right, next one, the squat. And what example of the squat do they plug in there? The sit to stand. This is a huge foundational movement for us. We love this exercise in particular because it's so functional. There's that word that everybody hates in our industry. It's so bastardized that, it's got to be functional. It's got to be functional. I know everybody talks about it. The point is, this is probably one of the most, if not the most functional lift that we can do. And it's a great way to give people homework and say, hey, why don't you give me 20 sit to stands every day, the days that I don't see you, so you can build up this leg strength. How do you think old Steel Legs built up his endurance and his stamina in his lower body, which was not a huge area of strength for him at any point in his life? My dad, Old Steel Legs, became very, very good at performing sit to stands. He could do 100 of them in 4 minutes. I mean, the guy got it down pretty damn good. His legs were very, very strong. And this was the key component of that, because basically he would do 20 sit to stands every day that I didn't see him. So I saw him 1 day a week, okay, just like that study that we saw. 1 day a week of really good resistance training, full body, and we would get anywhere between 50 and 100 squats or sit to stands, some variation of a hinge for him in that workout, okay? So every other day he had to do 20, and they didn't have to be 20 in a row. He just had to do 20 sit to stands. So he'd go, I'm gonna, go to the kitchen and get a drink. He would do 5 sit to stands and then go to the kitchen, get his drink, come back, do 5 more sit to stands. Then he would do that when he went to the restroom and came back, and his 20 for the day were done. But he knew how good these were for him, so he continued to do them. And eventually we built up to where he was doing 40 or 50 a day. That built a very good foundation for him, okay? Now, they also talk in this a little bit about tempo. So there's our eccentric focus, our tempo-based lifts, where you're coming down under control, completely unloading, and then coming back up under control. You're not going too fast. You're not bouncing or smacking your butt on the chair at the bottom. Every effort should be looked at as an individualized attempt. So in the sport of Olympic lifting or in powerlifting, they have something called a single, which means you're doing a single lift, just one attempt, and then you're done. That set is finished, okay? So in this case, you want to take every single attempt. Let's say we're doing a set of 10. And instead of saying, I'm going to chain together, string together 10 sit to stands, I want you to do 10 singles. Every single one should be looked at as an individual lift. Sit down, completely unload, re-engage, come up. That single was the best that I can make it. The next one, another single. And every single one is, I'm going to be judged under this one lift. Here's how good I want to perform it, okay? So good controlled tempos, completely unloading, watching the knees, keeping your alignment. This is great. Excuse me. Now we go to the wall push-up. I am not a fan of this exercise, okay? For every good thing that this manual does, and in almost every article or manual or book or anything you review, you're going to like some stuff, you're not going to like some other things. I am not a fan of the wall push-up. You're not in the right alignment, you're not in a good position. Like, take this photo and turn it on its side, okay? If this guy were on the ground doing a push-up, can everybody kind of visualize that? Like if we turned the whole thing, right? And he was facing the ground. The first push up position is awesome. The down position, that's a terrible position. That it's going to hurt your shoulders. It's going to hit your elbows. It's probably not going to feel good on your wrist. Your face is right over your hands. This is a terrible position to do a push up in. Why would you do a wall push up in that position? I would rather you go to a pony wall or the back of your couch or the side of the table, or be in a position where your hands can be below your shoulders, right? And then your chest can go over the top of your fingertips. Now you're in a good push-up position, a bench press position. Any chest pressing angle does not have that finishing position at the bottom. It's going to have the hands much lower and in line with, say, your sternum or your mid rib cage, okay? So I'm not a huge fan of the wall push-up. Even if you move your hands down, it flexes your wrist and pushes your elbows. I'm just not a huge fan of that vertical position. I want something lower that you can lean in on an angle. Smith machines are great for this because you can adjust the bar to whatever height you want and then be able to perform your push-up on top of that. You can make it very, very easy, a little harder as you work your way down, okay? As we continue here, Man, this is a good one. The calf pump, right? You have your feet hanging off a step or just stand behind a chair so you're stable. I like to stand about 4 or 5 feet away from the wall and then lean into the wall so you get some pre-stretch on your Achilles and on your calves while you perform your calf pumps. Now, one of the questions is if I keep my toes straight or if I turn them in or if I turn them out, those different angles, am I going to work different calves, different gastrocsoleus muscles? Am I going to work different angles of attack and improve the outside of my calves versus the inside? I've seen articles that suggest any foot position, as long as dorsiflexion, plantar flexion is occurring at the ankle, it doesn't matter where the foot is. And then I've seen other ones that says actually it does. And that having your feet turned out makes you a little bit stronger, where having the feet internally rotated or pigeon-toed was less efficient or less strong. Either of those could, you can make cases for. The point is we need to train this position. This is very important for us. Number one, with a toe break. Okay, there's a lot of, it's called the hallucis joint is your big toe, okay? And that joint is the number one joint in the foot that if it gets frozen, okay, frozen joint meaning there's no flexibility in it, you can't move it like that, like your big toe. If you can't do that, the likelihood of falling goes through the roof, okay? So you want to be able, when we say break, I don't mean literally break. I just mean that you want to be able to extend your big toe to a point when you are plantar flexing and dorsiflexing your foot on the ground, there's pliability in your toe that is ground reactive. So if I have to drop step into a lunge or go down onto my knee, go down into a split squat, my back foot, the rear leg, can have this high flex in the toe, high flex in the arch, and I can get ground reaction and push on it. Well, a great way to just initially establish some range of motion is through these toe raises, right? And as we start to drop our heels off and raise higher with the heel, you get more toe break, okay? So you start to break that in. Now, being in the 6-point position on the floor and doing like rock backs, like a child pose position, another great way to stretch your toes. If you have bunions, if you have toe arthritis, if you have gout, all of these things will hurt when you do it, but the value of attempting to do them on a regular basis, even if it's just a little bit, but every day, you'll start to work through the arthritic grace period, the gout grace period, the I'm out of shape and deconditioned grace period. Basically, it's a period in time in which your body has not been doing what you're doing, and now it is. And if you do just a little bit every day, your body will start to adapt to the idea of, oh, this is a regular occurrence. This is a regular basis thing that we're going to do. We should adapt and not be in so much pain. And if you stick with that, now this grace period can last anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks, okay? So we're looking at 3 months where people might be, man, my toe still hurts every time I do this. But as long as there's no structural damage being done, okay, meaning like every time you break at the toe, it's breaking cartilage or literally snapping or tearing a ligament. As long as you're not doing anything structurally wrong, this is just a gout response, an arthritic response. As long as it's just simply that, and I don't mean to downplay that, but as long as it's just that, you will make improvements. Up to 97% of people reported a positive influence in their life when performing this grace period approach with their arthritis, with their neuropathy, with their gout. Okay, all of these issues improved. You won't heal these things by doing this, okay? They will improve though. And as you improve them, increase blood flow, range of motion, all that, the symptoms of this limitation will get less and less and less. You'll still have them, but it'll be much more comfortable to work with in your life rather than having to try to work around it because you have such a severe limitation, okay? So little bits of toe break as you kind of work through your day can start with something as simple as these toe raises, but work all the way down into like a deep child's pose flex where you're trying to touch your butt back to your ankles and your toes are, flexed up underneath you, split squats, etc. All of this brings great value into it for you. Now, they also talk about grip strength, okay? Grip strength in this particular book, they really focused on like squeezing tennis balls and doing extra grippers. That's always a good thing to do, but you don't want to forget about the extensors of your hand. And that's where the majority of our wrist and hand issues come from, is that we grip and hang on to things with our hands so much, and then we flex when we grab these things at our wrist so much that we're very dominant on this side of our arm. Okay, even if you watch most folks kind of flex the muscles of their arm, you'll see more muscle on this side than you'll see on the opposite side, okay? Because we don't do a lot of wrist extension and we don't do a lot of resistance-based extension of the hand. So if you think of your wrist as like a pulley being yanked on either side, it's probably like 80% being abused on this side and only 20% on the other side. Will it be closer, more efficient to be 50-50? Yes, obviously we seek muscular equality. That's another one of these things we like to encourage everybody to focus on. But at this particular joint, is that possible? We just don't do a whole lot of extension hand or wrist exercises or need through our day to really require a 50-50 strength component. So will we ever fix that? I don't think so, but can we make it better? Absolutely. Take a couple rubber bands, put them around your fingers, and work on extending your hand. Okay, put a band or a resistant band or a cable pulley very light around the back of your hand and work on your extensors. Grab two dumbbells, put your hands on a bench and work on your extension strength, building all the muscles in the forearms and the top side of your arm. Okay, so grip strength, great component to train, to focus on, especially as you age. Opening windows, opening jars, articulating little things and dealing with that. As long as you continue to use these things, you will not lose these things in terms of the ability to perform and do them. Okay. Now, this is the article I talked about earlier, where this was a 2022 article where they looked at specific exercises and focuses for older adults to prevent sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the loss of strength, atrophy, if you will, to a point where you now lose function. So the muscles aren't just getting smaller, you're also losing your ability to perform whatever this might be. And in most cases, it's stand up straight, carry load, take big steps, okay, be able to do the things that you normally do. You're so weak now, you can't do those things anymore. How soon does that kick in? In as little as 10 days, but basically at 14 days, we start to have significant loss. 2 weeks of sitting around the house doing nothing, you start to have significant loss of muscle mass. What comes with the loss of muscle mass? Softening of bone density. What comes with the softening of bone density? You're not moving around, so your cardiovascular health is going to start to suffer. When we do all that, do we change any of our nutrition or our caloric deficits? Most cases not. Now, are we walking around and doing more step count wise? Most cases not. So now you're less strong, less dense, you're less healthy via your heart and your lungs, and you're not changing anything calorically. So we're probably going to start to add body fat. So now we have an obesity issue, right? Those are the big three: sarcopenia, osteopenia, and obesity. Osteosarcobesity. Those are the three that all kind of collect about 30% of our older population have all three of those. These are huge health concerns, not only for your heart and your brain and your health, your body. Now you're a fall risk, and now quality of life. You are drastically dropping towards that disability threshold. And once you hit that disability threshold, which means you are now dependent on someone else to take care of you, quality of life is so low, most people don't want to stick around anymore, and or any engagements or interactions with their family members or friends are not a super positive experience anymore. We are now at this point in my family as well. We're starting to lose some of our older generations. My father has passed away. My mother is not well. We have other family members that are around this age that, we want to basically encourage them to be here and live as healthy as they can, as long as they can. That's why I do what I do. This is why I make these videos and try to encourage people to live the healthiest, happiest, strongest life they can for as long as they can. This is another one of those articles that goes through the tools that helps you do that. What did this basically come down to? The idea that the stronger you are, the longer you will live. Fight against sarcopenia by getting your body strong. In as little as 1 day a week for about 20 minutes of a full body resistance training exercise routine, you can make drastic improvements in your body 1 day a week. Now imagine if you did twice a week and built that up over 2 or 3 months and then started doing 3 days a week. And after 2 or 3 months, you started walking, wearing a weight vest or a backpack. Could you afford to implement into your life 3 20-minute workouts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 20 minutes? Can you afford to do that? You have 168 hours in a week. I'm asking you to take one of them, break it up into 3 20-minute workouts, and dribble it into your life Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Could you do that? Think of the massive amount of benefit that would do for your body. If you started doing that and you created a routine, a consistent routine where every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 20 minutes, you did a resistance training routine. And it could be as simple as going around the machines in the gym. That's fine to start. Eventually, I'd love it if you would move into free weights. But if you started with that and you did that for 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, do it for 1 month and tell me you don't feel better, you're not sleeping better, you're not walking better, your joints aren't better. Tell me that all things in your life have not improved. I will find and discuss until I'm blue in the face with you how you are an anomaly if that did not help improve your life, that 97% of the people out there are experiencing massive improvements when they implement that. 1 hour a week. Now, if you want to improve that, increase and build upon that, which I think you will, right? I think you'll start to get the fitness bug, as we call it, where you're going to start saying, hey, this feels pretty good. I really like this. It's just establishing a new habit. If you do it on a regular basis, even if you don't like it, the great quality feeling you're going to start to experience from this is going to start to overtake you, and you're going to go, man, I want to keep feeling like that. Okay. My dad didn't like to exercise at all. He loathed it. And then we just made him keep coming. And after about a month, I didn't have to make him anymore. Okay. He just kind of accepted it. And after another month, he started asking me if he could come more often. And I said, yeah, we can do this more often. And then he started coming on a weekly basis, and we were off to the races. Okay. Then he started asking for homework, and he started doing more. And because he was more capable and able, he started doing more around the house. He started going up and down the stairs more. He started to become more active because he was more capable. Quality of life went through the roof. He was a happy man when he passed. He was not a miserable, sad individual fading away in bed. He was a happy, fairly healthy, a very cognitively aware, engaged individual. You know, he was ill, obviously ill enough to where he died suddenly, but he was a very happy and a very intrigued and encouraged and invested in life individual who was a joy to be around. And that's what I wish for all of you. If you have any other comments, questions, feel free to hit me up in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please share, please subscribe, send it out to your friends and family members. Love it if you could help us build the channel. Thank you all so much. And until next time, continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. Take care.